Shalom Dammit! This is Rabbi Sol Solomon with a Rabbinical Reflection for the week of August 3rd, 2014. If you play with fire, you're gonna get burned. If you keep throwing gasoline on that fire, you're gonna get burned blacker than the New York Knicks in a lunar eclipse. Or, put another way, if you beat up your wife 10 times, each time she will forgive you, she'll wear a Band-Aid and concealer, and she'll live in fear until the next flare-up. But on the 11th time, if you haven't killed her yet, she's gonna call a friend of hers named Nunzio, and for a fee, he will relocate you to the middle of the East River. It's the law of enough is enough. If you are the nation of Israel, and surrounding your borders are a people who have sworn to drive you into the sea, these people fire rockets indiscriminately and daily into your Heimat. If you're Israel, you tolerate a dozen rockets, 100 rockets, 1,000 fakakta rockets that usually land in the middle of nowhere, thank God. But rocket number 1001... it's time to pull your incredible Hulk costume out of the closet and kick some ass. 3 weeks ago, as I'm sure you recall, 3 innocent Jewish teenagers were slaughtered when they hitchhiked a little too far into Gaza. This was not just another act of violence, like Saturday night in Chicago. This was a flashpoint. It was the moment the Israeli government could say, you know what? We give the Palestinians the Gaza Strip in exchange for peace, and they give us our teenagers back in pieces. Enough with their rockets, enough with the terrorism, enough with the bullshit about Hamas being a legitimate political organization. It's time to open up a can of whoop-tuchus on this enemy that means us only harm and destruction. Bring it! In my previous Rabbinical Reflection, which I'm sure you've nearly memorized and put on flashcards for easy reference, I urged the IDF to take action in Gaza, to avenge the death of those boys, and give the camel jockeys payback for years of tears, fears, and jeering emirs. I am thrilled, therefore, that Benjamin Netanyahu gathered up his army into a white and blue fist, and they've been pounding the Gaza goons ever since. Dead civilians, unfortunate casualties, for sure, and what a shame. It's called collateral damage, and every war has them. And the Arab teenager that Israeli extremists abducted and killed in retaliation, no one's proud of that. I'll even go as far as saying that Israel hasn't gone out of its way every single time to make sure they're only blowing up militants and not bystanders 2 feet away from militants. But when did the Arabs ever make a distinction between soldiers and regular folk? Bombs on buses, shrapnel in cafes, mass murders of Olympic athletes, and commercial airplanes slamming into the tallest buildings in New York. It's a good thing I'm not an army general, because I'd napalm every speck of Gaza with a tent on it. And where does America stand in all this? It's honestly hard to tell. Barack Obama and John Kerry are talking the left-wing liberal talk of stop the fighting now, it's a humanitarian crisis, Israel and Hamas need to cease fire immediately and sit down at the table because there's wrong on both sides. All the typical crybaby blah blah that negates the basic fact that Israel tends to be in the right 90% of the time. However, words and actions are entirely different things, especially in diplomacy. For all the hand-wringing blather as a sop to the Democracy Now! Crowd, the Obama administration has, until this point, watched from the sidelines and let Israel do what it has to do. Thank you, Mr. President. If our Secretary of State wants to appease the Muslims by making noises about how Israel is being too harsh and causing too much suffering to the poor innocent Palestinians, no problem. Just give Yisrael time to collapse the tunnels, kill the killers, and drag Hamas, begging and desperate, to the outhouse of surrender. By eliminating terrorists and religious fanatics, Israel is doing America a favor after favor. And I honestly believe Obama and company realize that. No matter how many times Republican bloggers call him Hussein and make him sound like the love child of Joseph Stalin and Ayatollah Khomeini. It's the nature of Israel that whenever we do strike back against those who oppress us, we have to apologize for killing more of them than they of us. When our missiles hit their targets, when 100 Palestinians die for every Israeli soldier, that's unseemly somehow. It should be more balanced. We should die more just to ratchet up the sympathy vote. Sorry, Charlie. The goal is to weaken Hamas and make Israel safe from attack. If that means bombing Gaza back to the Stone Age, so be it. Besides, Arab children have proven quite skillful at throwing stones, so it's right up their alley. Just don't expect to throw stones at Jews anymore, because we will fire them right back at 100 times the speed. Go, Israel! Go, Bibi! And remember what Abba Eban said. It is better to be disliked than pitied. I'm both, but I'm beyond giving a crap. This has been a Rabbinical Reflection from Rabbi Sol Solomon, Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York.